Hey YouTube, Incel is not an ideology, but a state or condition. I think even though this is a vlog channel about my own story, it's worth talking about definitions sometimes, because I know that when I use particular terms, I'm not necessarily going to be using them in the same way that the media might use them, or that a .co user might use them, or anyone else. Incel is not an ideology. This may or may not be obvious, but I'll spell it out. Incel means, in short, that you can't get laid, but you want to. That doesn't imply anything about someone's views. It doesn't say anything about who's at fault, or what you think of women, or what you want society to do, if you want society to do anything. It just means you can't get laid, but you want to. Incel doesn't mean you believe in a particular thing, that you support a particular view or ideology. It doesn't say anything about your political orientation. So when people say incels believe something, incels believe X, incels hate Y, I don't think that's the case. You could say the majority of people on the internet who identify as incel believe in something particular. You could probably say that. Everyone has their own views. It's an individual thing, I think. Obviously, some people are fatalistic, some people are not. Some people are nihilistic, some are not. Some follow the black pill, some do not. Some believe in self-improvement, others believe it's futile. There are incels of all different political orientations, left, right, and all sorts. And while I'm here, the incel community does not mean anything, you know. The incel community is not a community, and it is not a group. Incels are not a community or a homogeneous group. Obviously, there are groups that form of people with particular views, and there are communities that identify with the term, but they don't define what incel is. Like, for example, not everybody agrees with the ideology of .co. In fact, a lot of people are banned from .co, often because they were too moderate for that highly moderated FBI honeypot. You know, I think all of the incel YouTubers out there, we're all doing our own thing, and I respect that we've all got our own views. Personally, I don't think I really fit in any particular community or group in the incelosphere, so I just do my own thing, just like a lot of other YouTubers. They do their own thing. We're all individuals, and my main point is, what I'm trying to say is generally, it's just a term saying you can't get laid but you want to. That's all. And my beliefs aren't represented by anyone but myself. So any incel spokespeople or incel communities don't speak for anyone, and any so-called incel spokesman or incel communities are not representative of all incels. Certainly not representative of me. The only person who represents me is myself. To address the second part of the title more specifically, and talk about what incel actually is. Incel is a state or condition. If you use the full term, it's a little clearer. You are involuntarily celibate. You are in a state of involuntary celibacy. About the involuntary part, incel is a bit like unemployment. That's something that's assumed to be involuntary. For the purposes of statistics, if you are unemployed, it's assumed that you do want a job, that you're looking for work. If you are unemployed by choice, you would be classed as not part of the labour force, rather than unemployed. If girls don't want me, that's their choice, and I have no control over that. If employers don't want me, that's their choice, and I have no control over that. I want a girlfriend and I want a job. In both cases, my inability to obtain those things is involuntary. Saying you're unemployed means you can't find a job but you want one, just as saying you're incel means you can't find a girl but you want one. The difference is incel tends to refer to something more long-term. 6 months is one figure thrown around. So it's more like long-term unemployment, which also starts at around 6 months. Unemployment is, like incel, a state or condition. You can move in and out of it. It's not necessarily with you forever, at least hopefully. And like incel, it doesn't imply any ideology. There are, of course, people who claim to represent unemployed people, but they don't necessarily represent everyone. Some people will have particular perceptions of the unemployed, often very negative ones, but those aren't necessarily true. They are, of course, generalizations. They don't know those people and their situations. Maybe that comparison might make it easier to understand how I see incel, in that it is a state or condition and not an ideology. I think that's it for the main video. I want to address something that someone on the Discord said. Someone on the Discord who can't get laid but refuses to identify as incel mentioned definitions such as the Cambridge Dictionary definition and dictionary.com, those online dictionaries, as well as Urban Dictionary. He was trying to say that the mainstream negative perceptions of incels are the true definition. The Cambridge Dictionary doesn't represent society. Cambridge is an ivory tower of elites, along with their minions, who are probably some freelance writers who have nothing better to do than spout hate and look down on people of low social status. And the Urban Dictionary definition is written by a nobody who simply doesn't matter. If someone chooses to identify as incel, really the only definition that matters is their own. I know that arguing over definitions is a fight that probably can't be won. People are always going to see what they want to see in terms of the meaning of incel, and certain groups of people are always going to have some control over the narrative. Unfortunately, we're stuck with the term. The media has given the term popularity, so if you want people to listen to you, then you have to use the term that is relevant, that people search for. So you have to use the term incel. You can't just make up a new term without any of the negative connotations. And if you want to avoid using any specific term and just avoid the whole choosing a term thing entirely, you're not going to be able to do that either, because how are people going to find your content? Unless you're a well-known person with an existing following, in which case you can title your content however you want. All you can do is use the terms the way you want to use them, and hopefully maybe that will influence mainstream perceptions, and maybe those meanings will be adopted by society. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment,